That my brain just went. I look like a freaking White Walker. That's so cool. I'm talking. It took me that long. Right outside. Tubers, and welcome back to my channel. Two things first. Pardon anything you might hear in the background. It is torrential downpours outside. And two, I don't have my contacts in today because I irritated this eye yesterday trying to get them in, and I just didn't feel like dealing with it today. So, also, you may have noticed, if you follow me on social media, I'm lacking a lot of hair. Last Wednesday? Yeah, it'll be a week tomorrow. I cut all my hair off. I got my hair cut. I got a nice long pixie on the front, you know, shaved short on the sides, and I'm loving it. Washing my hair takes like 2 seconds now. My shower time has literally been cut down by like 7 minutes, which I know most people are like, your shower should only take that long. And look, I'm physically handicapped in a lot of ways, so just anyway. So that's all the things I want to put in the beginning of this before we get down to our last character breakdown for the month, and that is for our final Hobbit character, and it is Ellowyn Littleoak. You may be wondering, why does Ellowyn have a last name or a surname when the other characters don't? When Mora and Thistle do not have names. And I will explain that as we go on. For a description of The Hobbit, I ask you to look down in the description below for Mora's video. Ellowyn is my baby. She was carefully created. I planned out each and every detail. I made sure everything about her fit. I did so much research into the line of Doran, into Thorin, into his sister, his nephews, the whole family. I just did so much research planning for Ellowyn. And not that I didn't do research for Mora and Thistle, but like I said, Ellowyn was my baby, and my main goal for her was to be Thorin's daughter. I know what you're thinking. Why would I do that to a child? Well, I have no idea. All I know is when I started creating Ellowyn, that's what I wanted. I wanted her to be Thorin's child. Obviously, to do that, I had to give her a mother. The mother wasn't really a big thing within the movies. We do briefly touch on her in the first one, but not a lot after that. She becomes a bigger problem once Erebor is retaken. But that's a whole other story that I'm actually just working on now. Ellowyn grows up at Thorin's side because when she was 4, her mother caved under the pressure of raising a princess while in a courtship with an uncrowned king. She took off for the Iron Hills, giving Thorin the option of keeping his child with him or letting her go with her mother, and he was not about to let his only child leave. So he raised her as a single parent. Obviously, he had help from his sister, because he also helped raise his nephews. Like I said, creating Ellowyn was a process. I didn't put this much thought, or I didn't put this much research into Mora or Thistle. There was so much I wanted to do, and I wanted to make sure there were no holes or mistakes when it came to Ellie. I spent hours making Ellowyn. Once I picked everything, I made sure I had her traits, what made her specialities, what she looked like. Much like Mora, she's a scholar of languages, but she makes no effort to hide that from her father. She fits very much into the role of the heir of Erebor. Being sure of herself when it comes to dealing with enemies and allies. The only thing she gets from her mother are the color of her eyes, and they are very bright green. She shares her father's dark hair, stubborn attitude, and occasionally careless nature. Unlike my other two dwarves, Ellowyn does have facial hair, though not as much as, most dwarves have. She does have fairly grown in sideburns. I will put up the sketch I created for her here so you can see what I mean. Now, I did say I was going to give you a hint, or explain, not a hint, I was going to explain Ellie's surname, Little Oak. At the end of the first movie, when they're battling Azog and Thorin is obviously severely injured by Azog and his warg, Ellowyn rushes down with the others to save him, but she also rushes to save Bilbo because at that point they already have a very special bond. And when she rushes to save Bilbo, she grabs her father's discarded oak branch shield. And she uses that not only to defend herself and Bilbo, but also to deal a harsh blow to Azog's head when she jumps on the back of his warg to stop him from advancing on Bilbo. As I said, she occasionally has her father careless nature. And then they're obviously rescued by the eagles, and she jumps on the eagle that grabs her father without even thinking about it. She just jumps onto its back. And as they're flying, the eagle speaks to her and explains that Thorin is going to be okay, that he does need Gandalf's magic, but he'll be fine. And the eagle calls Ellowyn Little Oak. He doesn't call her Ellowyn, he calls her Little Oak, and she asks why. And he points out that she has her father's shield and that she is, just like her father, and, he points out the similarities between her and Thorin and tells her that among the eagles, she has been dubbed Little Oak. So when Thorin retakes Erebor and is of his right mind again, Ellowyn is renamed Ellowyn Little Oak, Princess of Erebor. So that's actually where that came from. The eagles give her name. I don't know how Thorin got his name. Obviously, it had something to do with his oak shield, but I wanted some way to tie the eagles into it because they are going to play an important role for Ellie in her future and for the future of her children. So that's how that came about. I considered just giving her the Oak and Shield name, but I wanted her to have something that was her own while still connecting her to her father. So I went with Little Oak, and I personally really like it. I was like, looking at all the other names and everything, like, you have Thorin Oakenshield, you have his namesake, Thorin Stonehelm, so, you have all these, unique last names that people are given, or these unique surnames that people are given, and I wanted her to be tied to her father, but I still wanted her to stand out on her own, and I felt Little Oak did that really nicely. When it comes to Ellie, the easiest part of writing her is her relationship with Bilbo, honestly. They're just so easy to write together, and I don't mean in a romantic fashion, ew. They understand each other, and Ellowyn helps Bilbo deal with, traveling out in the wild, dealing with dwarves, being on the road and all that, they just mesh so well when I'm writing them. Even though I haven't gotten to the third movie yet, I already have it planned out, so I already know how much easier she's going to make things for Bilbo when it comes to the hard decisions he has to make, like taking the Arkenstone, betraying Thorin. All of that is just very, very, it's pretty much it's a father-daughter relationship without the blood relation, pretty much. Speaking of father-daughter relationships, the hardest part of writing Ellie is her relationship with her father. Why? Because, one, my own relationship with my father sucks ass, as does his relationship with most of his children. And two, there are many things that Thorin does that leaves me thinking, do you realize what you're doing to the people around you, including your nephews? I couldn't imagine some of it with his daughter around, even if I have written it now. When I first started, I was like, how am I going to work his child into this? And it was very challenging, but I managed to do it, even if I did have to tweak things a little bit. I've rewritten so many parts with those two, it's ridiculous. But I do what I have to. I try for the gentle, caring father within Thorin, but sometimes it just isn't possible, and Ellowyn has to fall back to just being a member of the company instead of his child. It's frustrating, it drives me nuts, but that's how Thorin is, that's what writing is, you just gotta go with what you got. when it comes to writing Ellie and everything I've written for her so far, there aren't a lot of good memories. Certainly no best ones. Mainly because, you know, she grew up with a father who was constantly leaving to try and find his own father, you know, following whispers and rumors everywhere. So while she has a good relationship with him, that did put a strain on it. And then there's traveling, and she's watching him slowly turn into this man, or this dwarf she no longer recognizes, and the strains of being on the road together, and then everything that happens in Erebor. But I do have plans for obviously much better memories to come. And one of the best ones is going to be when Thorin wakes from his coma after the Battle of the Five Armies. And that will definitely be right up there with a best memory for her, obviously. Worst memory, on the other hand, plenty to pick from. However, the absolute worst, just like her best, isn't written yet, but I can also tell you what it's going to be. During the final battle, Ellowyn is searching Ravenhill high and low for her father, and she comes across him just as Azog's sword pierces his torso. The rage she feels drives her to kill the pale orc, but then she has to sit with her mortally wounded father, hoping someone finds them before he bleeds out. That fear, that knowledge that she might have to spend the rest of her life without her father, it seems to drag on forever for her. And there's nothing that she could face that is worse than that. Just sitting there with her father's, you know, in her arms as he slowly bleeds to death. And obviously, as I revealed, he does make it. But, you know, those moments drag on forever. Even if Bilbo finds them. Even if they do manage to save him. Because I refuse to live with the deaths that happen. Look, I am a fanfiction writer for a reason. I refuse a lot of things. I tend to make things worse than what actually happened, but I refuse a lot of things. But that moment is going to be so... It's definitely going to be a defining moment in their relationship where understanding and caring and forgiveness and all that flows back into their relationship. But at the same time, it is going to stay with Ellie for a long time to come. Creating Ellowyn, I just wanted to play with the idea of Thorin having a daughter. I never meant for her to become as special and important to me as she is now, but I don't regret it. Much like with my other two Hobbit characters, Mora and Thistle, now all that's left is to write Battle of the Five Armies and maybe the Lord of the Rings movies, because I have ideas for that. Still playing around with it though, so I'm not sure yet. So that is our final Hobbit character breakdown for Ellowyn Little Oak. Let me know down in the comments below if you enjoyed it, if you like Ellie's name and her story, and, you know, just the creation process that went into her and the way I'm writing her and everything. I will at some point be posting her, obviously, once I get her finished completely-ish. As always, all of my social media handles will be down in the description below, along with my blog if you want to read the post that goes along with this video. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification buttons so you get a notification every time I upload. And I know you enjoyed the video. Oh, excuse me, sorry. And I will see you guys in next week's video for a kind of weird but kind of special story video. Bye.